So I'm here with my brother Ian again. We're in Richmond visiting home for the holidays, and we're about to check out Lamplighter Coffee. They roast their own coffee, and they have I think 3 cafes right now throughout the city of Richmond. So let's see what they've got. So we're here at Lamplighter Coffee Roasters. I went with a cortado, an espresso drink.
It's their specialty roast right now. It's really good.
On drip, right. So we are at their Addison Street location, and they don't do pour-over coffees, which for me personally, I tend to go for the pour-over coffees. I'm a black coffee kind of guy, but it has to be really good black coffee. But they do have this on drip here at their roasting location on Summit Avenue in Richmond, Virginia. They do Chemex and Kalita pour-overs. I've tried those before and they're good, but what do you think of your drip?
It's really good, really smooth, very fruity, not a lot of dark flavors. What I'm really impressed by is this little leaf. I mean, that's a beautiful thing right there.
So the thing about Ethiopian coffee, Ethiopia is at a pretty high elevation, their coffee growing regions. High elevation means that the plants have less oxygen, and just like when you have less oxygen when you're running or something, you start to build up lactic acid. The lactic acid adds to the fruitiness of the flavor. So this Ethiopian coffees in general tend to be much more fruity, different fruits depending on what region it's grown in. So a cortado is an equal part milk and espresso, so you can still get a lot of the taste from the actual bean in a cortado. A little bit less than a macchiato. A macchiato is 2-to-1 espresso to milk. You can still very well taste the coffee, especially if it's a strong type of blend. This one still has a lot of fruitiness coming through in it, and I'm really definitely happy with my choice here. So the vibe in general at these Lamplighter locations, the 2 that I've been to so far, are kind of similar. They have a lot of exposed brick, wood,
Steel everywhere.
Steel, yeah. A very Richmond vibe.
I guess you could kind of call it like grunge modern.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good word for it actually. We're here on visiting for the holidays, so it's a little cold right now. But especially in the summer, they have some tables outside, some picnic tables. There's not a whole lot of seating inside at this location.
Yeah, it's pretty tight in here. Definitely college students everywhere. This is the Lamplighter logo.
Right, that's the Lamplighter logo, and actually the history of this, back in the day when people had to light lamps by hand, they would have, these long lighter sticks, and they still needed to be a little bit higher, so they had these taller bikes that they would ride on and then use the sticks to reach up to the lamps and light them. So that's where the Lamplighter logo and name comes from. This was the bikes that Lamplighters would drive. They definitely know their art here at Lamplighter. Their roasters are top-notch, really quality, know what they're doing. I kind of subscribe to the third wave coffee roaster idea. It's that you roast coffee enough to bring out the flavors in the coffee without overpowering those flavors with the flavors of the roast itself. And that's very much what Lamplighter tends to subscribe to. All of their coffees that I've tried, the flavors really come through in a great way.
You say you get fruity flavors, but
right.
Espresso is usually pretty dark, isn't it? Like, because it's so concentrated.
Espresso is just a way of preparing coffee. So there's no difference between coffee beans and espresso beans. Sometimes certain beans at certain roast levels work better with espresso or better with black coffee. But it's still coffee, roasted the same way, prepared differently. So with espresso, you have an espresso machine, and you are packing the espresso very tightly, very finely ground coffee beans through an espresso machine, which basically you have water that's heated until it's evaporated and then shot through the espresso. So it's very concentrated, tends to have, for the size, much higher caffeine levels in it.
But not necessarily darker caramely or flavors.
Exactly. So the flavor comes still from the bean itself and not from the way it's prepared. Certain ways of preparing the coffee will bring out certain nuances differently. So some beans might be more well suited for espresso, some more well suited for a Chemex or a V60 pour. So I'm just finishing up my drink. I think you have a little bit of yours
I've
left.
still got quite a bit left.
I'm very satisfied with this trip. This is actually the first time that I've gotten an espresso drink from Lamplighter. I've been to the cafe a couple times on Summit Avenue, and I usually order a pour over there. I went with the espresso drink this time, and I was not disappointed.
I'm very satisfied. It's a delicious coffee, really cool environment.
If you're in Richmond and you're looking for that classic Richmond feel in a cafe with a good coffee, Lamplighter, you're not going to go wrong.
I'm going for a really good one-liner.